A new wave of layoffs at Boeing is cutting deep, hitting critical positions tonight.
The aerospace company, which employs thousands of people in the metro, announced nearly 700 layoffs in the St. Louis area. Russell Kinsell diving into the decision days before Thanksgiving.
Surprise, gloom, and anger, just some of the reaction to the announcement of the layoffs today. It's no guarantee that it's the last round of layoffs as the company looks to trim 10% of its workforce, or 17,000 workers. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration, but also among politicians and analysts, they are critical of the decision to lay off so many. Boeing employs 16,700 workers in the St. Louis area, assembling F-15 and F-A-18 fighter jets and the T-7 trainer. SLU professor of entrepreneurship Jerome Katz says it's surprising the St. Louis region would be targeted for so many cuts when local operations are running smoothly and profitably with government contracts locked into place.
That still is surprising in one sense because we're doing military planes here, and the federal government's got standing orders and they pay their bills on time.
Boeing says the nationwide layoffs are needed because of financial troubles from delays of commercial airline production and a 2-month strike. The number of planned layoffs in the St. Louis area is up to 692, and the layoffs hit a wide variety of jobs, including some critical positions. The positions include assembly mechanics, engineers, financial analysts, managers, and security specialists.
I'm worried that these executives are running a great American company into the ground, and the workers are going to be the ones who pay the price.
Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley has been critical of Boeing management.
And what I've seen from their leadership is a desire to cut corners, to wring every piece of profit out of the company, and if that means they have to lay off workers while they increase pay for executives, they're willing to do it.
I spoke with aviation industry expert Richard Abolafia with Aerodynamics Advisors about the layoffs at Boeing. He says the company has a backlog of orders for planes, more work than it can handle. He told me, quote, they need more workers, not less. And he said, I don't understand their very short-term view that they can cut their way back to health. It's really eye-opening to see the types of engineers that are being laid off. Those who specialize in safety, electronic warfare, and chemical contamination. They will be off the job as of January 17th. Again, no guarantee this is the last round of layoffs here locally. Live in Berkeley, Russell Kinsell, First Alert 4.
It's definitely not the last we've seen. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there's a pattern to a lot of these company layoffs that we're seeing, right? Can you see it? Can y'all see the pattern? It's as clear as day, all right? And I want to simplify it. Let me simplify it for y'all that may not necessarily catch the pattern. Let me give you a scenario. Employees come into orientation to work for a big name company, right? Big name company gives them the rundown of how it goes. Big name company rolls out the benefits package, the 401k, the medical plans, which are likely too expensive. And when they're almost at the end of this orientation, Pete in the front row raises his hand with a question. Pete's question is, does the company have a union in place? And the HR rep says, why, yes, we have a union. So all of you will be paying union dues that will come out of your paycheck every single pay period. And this is not something that you can opt out of either. This isn't like choosing whether or not to add the extra dental coverage to your medical plan. This is automatic. You do not have a choice. Now, time moves on, and before you know it, Pete has built up quite a bit of tenure within the company. In fact, Pete has been with the company for some 30 plus years. He's given most of his time, his sweat equity, and most likely his loyalty to said company. Now, as the economy continues to grow and inflation inevitably happens, because it always does, Pete, along with the other, 43 or 45, some other odd associates that got hired, are starting to feel like their paychecks are no longer keeping up with the cost of living. Now, mind you, Pete and those other associates are not making anywhere close to minimum wage because they have a union. And that union has been fighting on their behalf for years to get them bigger and better raises. But it just feels like the raises over the last 2 or 3 years have not been up to par, you know? So Pete and his coworkers begin to complain to the union, and the union is starting to feel that pressure because Pete is saying, hey, we are paying for you to advocate for us on our behalf. We need you to go stir up some controversy in them offices and let the higher ups know that we are standing on business. So the union says, okay. So the Teamsters, or whatever other organization you want to call it, go and they get to work. And after a few months of threats to walk off the job and or strike at a few different locations, the company says that they're ready to parlay finally. So everybody's happy, right? They're getting excited. Now Pete is thinking, yes, God damn it, we got him. So the company appears to be playing ball. Pete and his co-workers reach a deal that is very close to what they all wanted. Maybe not everything they wanted, but it's very close. And the union gets their cut and boom, everybody's happy. Except they're not. Behind closed doors, where Pete and his co-workers are none the wiser, there are some meetings being held, okay? Upper management and HR, yes, the same HR that told you to come see them if you ever had any problems, that HR. They're all having these closed door meetings. See, while Pete and all of the other employees were busy trying to flex their resolve, they completely missed the new hires. What are the new hires? Pete didn't even realize that Brandon got hired recently. And Brandon is a software development engineer. And Pete completely overlooked when they brought in Jennifer as a data scientist and brought in Jake as a double-edged sword, if you will. See, Jake is a research analyst and he also has some skill in software engineering as well. And then the entire time, these three individuals have been working to replace the job of 3,000. And all of a sudden, Pete is faced with the realization that he and his co-workers ain't the only ones prepared to stand on business. I took my youngest son on a play date about a month or so ago with one of his old classmates. They wanted to hang out at the movies. And so, so I said I'd take him. So I linked up with, his classmate's father. We ended up taking them to the movies. We meet them there. And after the movies, they're running around playing outside in the background. And, me and the father, the other dad, we get to talking. And I've talked to him before. But this was the first time that we've had an extensive conversation. And because I knew that he worked in the automotive industry for Chrysler, I said, hey, were you at all affected by the recent layoffs and all the firing that went on early this year? And he said, nah, not at all. Not for what I do. And I said, oh, yeah? Well, what is it that you do? He said, oh, I work in automotive logistics software development. And in fact, they're paying me to go to school to get an even better position. He said that he made over 6 figures. He said, and that when he was done with his training that they were paying for, and his studying and his schooling, that he would be making about $50,000 to $60,000 more a year. He told me, you should think about a career change. They could always use more software engineers and developers, and they'll pay you to learn to get better. I said, well, goddamn. I said, wow. So not everyone in the auto industry is suffering. There are people literally thriving. And you want to know what I thought about after that? The longshoremen. And how their union rep got up there and said that so brazenly on national television that they would cripple the United States at the shores if they didn't play ball. How many more times do you all think that will happen? How long do you all think that industry has before they're replaced by technology? See, what the union reps didn't tell Pete and his coworkers was that, yes, y'all may win the battle today, but the war is coming. The war is coming, and many of you will not survive it. These companies are going to pack you up. and get you the hell up out of there. Now they're saying the mechanics, they're saying that the mechanics strikes, although they did significantly impact Boeing as a company, that they're not the reason for the layoffs. This is what they're saying. They're instead saying that the layoffs are due to overstaffing. And my question to you all is, how many of you actually believe that they overstaff positions within their company to the tune of some 17,000 people? Come on. Tell me you believe that. The machinist contracts and the negotiations ended with them, I believe, getting a 38% wage increase over 4 years. Okay. Meanwhile, they say the company has lost over $25 billion in the last 5 years. Now, you tell me, how did you think that this was going to play out in the long run? These union strikes. How did you all believe that this was going to end? If the company is losing billions of dollars on the year and y'all strike, how did y'all think this was going to go? You won the battle, but it cost you the war. I told you all back when I did a video on the automotive industry layoffs. The pensions were never coming back. You got some of the older people on record for Boeing saying that they wanted pensions along with the 35% increase or 38% increase in wages. I told y'all, pensions are an old folklore. They're a myth, only to be talked about in legend and stories of yesteryear. It is done. We live in a capitalistic country. Everything comes back down to the money. Why in the world would a company choose to continue to pay employees in perpetuity long after they've left the company when they can just have you all fund your own retirement yourselves? This is not the 1920s. I told you all, the days of daddies working in plants, funding and building and being the main financial source for the entire family and being able to hold them down for several years by himself and also retiring and getting the pension after all the work that he done put in. Them days are dead and gone. It's over. Pensions are dead. You're not getting one. They're not coming back for the average consumer, for the average worker. Sorry, they're done. It's a harsh reality you got to face. The overarching point is these companies do not care about you or your little family. They don't care about little Johnny. They don't care about little David. They don't care about little Sarah. They don't care that Christmas is coming up. Christmas is canceled for all they mean because they've been losing money. It's all about the bottom line. Yes, is Boeing still profitable? Well, some might say yeah. But one thing about CEOs, they want to make even more money than they made last year. So whatever X amount of millions or billions of dollars they made, guess what? That was yesteryear. We want to make more this year. Why? Because my check is dependent upon us making more money. These CEOs and these big wigs that are ahead of these companies, they are not willing to take any losses laying down. And if they have to cut 17,000 employees to make the point or to increase and better the bottom line, they will do it in a heartbeat. You will be gone. Pack you up. They will. So the message is the same. Look out for self. You are just a number. Look out for self. Look out for self. Have a plan. Have a savings account. Have money stashed. Have money put away. Don't run out and buy that Hellcat. Things may look a lot differently a year, 2, 5 years from now for you. You was living good. Life was good. You got a raise. You thought everything was blue. The skies were clear. You thought everything was looking up. Y'all had got the 38% wage increases that y'all fought for. We good. No, you're not. No, you're not. And guess what? The union's still going to be there with their jobs intact. And y'all still going to be paying them. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments about this. More layoffs are to come. This is just the tip of the iceberg, honestly, if we're being truthful. Tip of the iceberg. More layoffs to come. Let me know what you think down in the comments. See y'all in the next one.